Hello, everyone. Welcome inside the Red Earth Production Studios for this edition of YBMcast, our special edition of our coaches preview. We have today from Smet Jesuit High School, head coach Tim Canavan. Coach, we appreciate you joining us.
Thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure.
Absolutely. It's going to be a fun year, folks. So if you want to keep up to date, one of our goals here at Youth Baseball Midwest is to be the most comprehensive youth baseball talk in the Midwest. And, you might say youth baseball. Well, personally, and especially at my age, high school kids are still youths. Correct, Coach?
Absolutely. We're all works in progress.
That's right. And so, Youth Baseball Midwest, please take a moment. If you like what we do, hit the like button. If you like this episode, please hit the like button. Share your thoughts with it. We hope you do. Subscribe. We appreciate it. We appreciate all the support that everybody gives here for Youth Baseball Midwest. But today we're going to talk about Smet High School coming off the 2024 campaign. A 4-3-1 record, Coach, in conference. Your overall record 21-12-1. You got a lot of kids coming back.
We do. I counted it right before we went on air today just to double check, but I believe we had 15 returners, 13 seniors and 2 sophomores. That
makes for a recipe that with the experience. It brings about opportunity, correct? Absolutely.
These are talented kids. They're a year bigger and stronger. They've got a year more experience under their belt. They know the kind of things that we want to try to do day in and day out, so we can kind of hit the ground running.
Absolutely. This helps, I think, the overall leadership. And, one of the kids I want to start with here, Charlie Wortham. He was fantastic for you offensively last year. I mean, I always look at slash lines and, it doesn't tell the whole story. We know that. But this young man, 423, 552, whenever I see this kind of number, he's a really good, this kid can just hit. But a 763 slugging is just, come on. If you're slugging 763, that's most people's OPS.
Right. Well, as you said, he can just flat out hit. He has the ability to get the barrel to the ball. He's got a lot of juice in the bat. He hit 6 home runs. He had 15 doubles. And I think he only struck out 8 or 9 times in about 125 plate appearances.
I just give you a little bit on that. You're close. It was 11 Ks. That's it.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
That's impressive.
Yeah, he is a really, really talented player. Haven't coached many like him, just a handful, and I'm excited to see what he does this year.
And the thing that's interesting, and you're saying that, 15 doubles too, folks. You're talking about slugging and 20 base on balls. So to me, this is a young man that really understands plate discipline, understands his approach, what he's trying to get, and how to dissect a pitcher throughout a game, correct?
Absolutely. He knows his swing. He knows what he's trying to do, but he also has a great approach to the plate, and he sticks to it. He's willing to make a 2-strike adjustment. He understands situational hitting. He understands when he, can look to drive the ball versus just put it in play and move a runner. He is, unless you see him on a daily basis, it's hard to describe because he's just so consistent. Sometimes the ball jumps out of the park and that will catch your eye. But mostly he's just so consistent and so solid. He can fly under the radar a little bit unless you see him on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah. 6 home runs in high school baseball. That's a lot, isn't it?
It's very good. I don't know that I've had anyone that has had more than about 3 or 4 in my 8 previous years.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it was second in the area.
That's amazing. It really is. So I'm looking for I haven't seen personally, I haven't seen Charlie play. So I'm
Hmm.
looking forward to this season.
Well, I was just going to say, it's more than just his offense, though. Too, he is a phenomenal defender. You can put him anywhere on the field, and he can catch it and throw it, um, and it's just so clean and accurate. And he's a great base runner too. He can steal a base. He can go first to third. It's just things come very naturally for him on the baseball field. So he's a throwback in that he's well rounded, fundamentally sound, and just a joy to be around.
Is this one of the kids that that overall leadership that the team kind of just follows naturally? Is he one of those guys that just goes out and puts himself there, or is it just kind of happen organically?
I think he is starting to step into that leadership role a little bit more. He's been a starter on varsity since he was a sophomore, and he's had some pretty strong leadership um, in the 2 classes ahead of him. And I think now he understands it's his turn to kind of step up. He's never a real vocal guy. He's always going to lead by example, and he does a great job of that. Um, but yeah, I have seen examples in our preseason workouts where he's kind of stepped up and more with a pat on the back than a kick in the butt of just getting guys to do the right thing.
Absolutely. There's a name of and I'm gonna be honest, Coach. I don't want to say it because I'm gonna butcher it. I think the last name is Tournier.
Tournier. Mm-hmm.
Tournier.
Tournier.
Is it Sill?
Sil Tournier. Yes, sir.
I got through that. Yes. Um, Coming back, he had a lot of runs scored. I mean, when you're scoring 20 runs, you're driving in 26. You account for 46 runs in a high school season. That's huge for you. Where do you see this young man in your lineup coming up this year?
He's going to hit in the middle of the order, probably 4 or 5 for us. He's a really talented two-way player. Actually, he didn't get to throw an inning for us. He confined to first base and DH last spring, but he's a guy that if we can get back healthy on the mound, it's going to be a real big pick me up for us because he's a very very talented two-way player. I like to kid him that he's probably going to go a little bit farther on the mound than he is with the bat, and he hates to hear that. But he had a great season for us last year offensively.
Wow. That's interesting because I always like the pitching. You got Keenan Patterson coming back as well. Another young man, 27 runs scored, 26 RBIs, 5 home runs. You have got some big time pop in your lineup.
Yeah, Kanan's a special player. His skill set is unlike anybody I've ever coached. He's a catcher by trade. He loves to catch. In fact, when I sent out the preseason questionnaire for everybody, what position they wanted to try out for during tryouts, he wrote first position catcher, second position catcher. So he loves to catch. But he is a terrific infielder, and he's played a lot of shortstop for me the last 2 years. And if you think about how diverse those skill sets and body types and athleticism is. But he is that. I've seen him in a weekend, go deep in the hole, make a sliding backhanded play, and throw a guy out at first, as well as come out of the chute and throw somebody out at second base. So he is. I don't. I hopefully the people that are listening will understand and the term. He is a dirt bag. I mean, he loves to play. He is all baseball all the time. And when he's not playing it or not training, he's helping his dad coach. And he's, again, just a joy to have around the team.
That's awesome. Talk to us about some of the kids that will fill in around these young men, and where are you at? You look like you're pretty solid offensively, and
Mhm.
what does that look like moving forward defensively with some of these kids as well?
Well, you hit it right on the head there. Patterson and Wortham are both catchers. They're going to Mississippi State and SEMO to catch respectively. So one of our challenges this spring will to figure out what is our best defensive alignment. When I talk to those two individually, and they're great teammates and team players, so they understand what I'm telling them. But I don't care who is the better catcher. I care what does our best defense look like. So, Kanan plays more shortstop. Charlie plays more third. It may come down to who has the better backup, and whoever has the better backup may be behind the plate more. But that's something that it will take us a few weeks to figure out. We have some good speed in the outfield. We have Landon Edmonds, we got Braden Wakula, we've got Charlie Wims, and even Sil Tournier. When he goes out there, he runs well. But just figuring out the best configuration is going to be a challenge for us.
That is always, I think, because, I've been doing these now for a few years, and every coach I talk to, we're talking about you're building from the middle out. It looks like catching wise, it's just finding that those right fits. If you got your shortstop, who's at second base, who's at center fielder, and it's really about communication, isn't it? Do you have a center fielder who understands the nuances, gets guys in the right position, making sure everybody's there? Because that communication level, that's how you build towards how you fill in those gaps, how you taking care of the baseball, how short do you want to play, do they understand what's going on at the plate pitching wise? I think those are huge impacts that even maybe we don't see at the high school level sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think we have a pretty good one and pretty experienced one at that level. At Landon Edmonds, he's coming off an injury as well. I think he'll be okay to play in the outfield, but he directs traffic really well. Communicates on fly ball communication, positioning. He's very experienced at that and does a good job.
He probably had a good teacher, didn't he?
I think so. I think he's gotten some good advice in the past.
We'll let y'all figure that out. No, his dad played center field for a couple of teams, I think, somewhere. I don't know. Returning pitchers, you've got a host of names here. I'm going to let you kind of throw these out instead of me just pushing out names, but I want to see who are the guys that you see at the top that are going to help you on the mound coming this season?
Mm-hmm. Well, we returned 2 starters from last year. Brandon Ott is a sophomore. He went 5-1 for us at the varsity level as a freshman, so he's got a pretty high ceiling. So we look for him to be right back in the rotation. And then we've got Noah Cunningham, who was kind of a weekend guy for us last year. He's a big, strong, thick kid, mid 80s, really unique breaking ball. It's kind of a knuckle curve, and he's a Missouri S&T commit. So I think he'll be in the mix for the rotation, and we're hopeful that again Sil Tournier and Braden Wakula will be healthy, and if they are, we project them to be in the rotation as well.
I like Brandon Ott. I mean, I've watched this young man. He's fun to watch, and as a sophomore pitching in the Class 6 and especially at your level with only a 2.66 ERA I always like the OBA. Opponent's batting average, at 237, at his age, doing that 21 Ks, his walks may be a little up, but that's just experience, correct?
Yeah, he really impressed us with his maturity last year. There were times where he probably pitched around a guy and got an extra walk just to be careful or not to give up the big hit but he had great poise and presence. I can remember a few times picking runners who had fallen asleep just because he knew that this was an opportunity that they might have fallen asleep. So he's played in a lot of big games already, and he brought that to us as a freshman, and it was just really impressive to watch.
That's awesome. I wanna ask you about this, because you've kind of mentioned some injuries. Are you how many injuries are you working through, coming into it that you're aware of, and how do you think that may affect you as the season begins?
Well, hopefully we're through the worst of it. So we got hit right before the beginning of the season last year. We lost 3/4 of our rotation, and we lost two starting outfielders. Um, and my pitching coach just did a masterful job last year piecing it together. We did a lot of games, bullpen games. Guys throwing 2-3-2 or 3-3-1. And to win 21 games when you lose 3/4 of your staff, I mean, I just can't give him enough credit. Warren Long is his name. He was just masterful. But all these guys seem to be progressing in the right direction. So knock on wood, no concerns at the moment, but we're just hoping that we stay healthy.
There you go. How many kids do you have that play a lot of different sports within Dismet?
It's getting smaller and smaller. There's probably five or less, probably between 3 and 5. We got some baseball, football. We probably have a baseball, basketball, maybe a baseball, soccer. But as all your followers are aware, to be good at something, it takes a lot of dedication, and to split up your time, it gets hard, especially as you get older. So, while we don't discourage it, the reality is if you're going to be good at something, you got to dedicate a lot of time to it.
Yeah. Coach, is this your fourth year? Going into your
This is my
fourth
fourth.
year? That's what I
Mhm.
thought. Culture wise, I mean, you came into the program. Dismet's always had, I think, what year they won it? Gosh, I'm trying
Uh,
to remember.
2019 and 2000.
Yes.
So,
And I'm just curious because I always know that the private schools, with the championship points and things like this,
mhm.
is your enrollment class, is it class six, or are you there because of championship points, or how's that working for you guys?
We are right around 700 boys. I think we might technically be class 5.
Yeah.
But we're competing in class 6, which I'm happy to do, and I think all the boys want to as well. Play the biggest and the best that you can.
Yeah, it's just curious because sometimes, I know with the private schools, it just, you look at
Hmm.
the enrollment, where do you really sit in that respect? But, I understand that championship points and district wins and things like that keep those things up. But
Hmm.
I think, where you guys sit with that enrollment and where you're at, I think you're in the right spot. I think it's a fun scenario with the M.C.C and looking at the whole scope of that. You're there and you're coming into your fourth year and competing in that conference. How are you setting the culture in the program and where you want it to go and what that looks like long term?
Well, um, I think we just try to do things right day to day, and hopefully that the kids kind of take that in. For example, little things like when we take the field every day at practice, we don't walk around and go through the dugout. We walk in the gates from the outfield, and we sprint to the dugout. We go around the infield and sprint to the dugout. Take a lot of pride in making sure the screens are all lined up neatly when we're finished, and our uniforms look good. We want to take a lot of pride in what we do. And then when we practice, we want to practice hard, and we want to play what we consider to be the right way, and um, do all the little things, pay attention to detail, um, and take care of business in the classroom, be good people in the community, um, and then really dive deep in between games, and look at stats and video, and see where we can improve, where we're falling short. So, um, You know, I don't know if I have a great answer for you. It's just I try to bring the things that we did at the college level to the high school level so that these kids can get a little bit of taste of that in case that's where their sights are set.
When you started talking, the first thing that popped in my head was, "Wow, that's very detail oriented." And then you said, paying attention to the details, and that makes an impact. And at the collegiate level, it is when you start moving up levels, it is just about the details, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, baseball games are lost more than they are won, and they're lost by those that make the mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know how to rotate on a bunt defense? Do you know where to throw the ball on an extra base hit? Do you know your signs? So baseball, so frequently the better team loses in baseball because they don't do the little things. So you have to stress that over and over and over, to the point where maybe your players start tuning you out. But they have to understand that it's little things that win.
Absolutely. I always, I always put it like this, and it may be a little dramatic, and some people might not think this is maybe the best way to say it, but I always said to kids, look, if you do not execute, you will be executed. And I don't
That's
mean
right.
that in depth, but it's true, and it goes to, and that's meaning you you will be executed by the things you cannot execute. And
Hmm.
it's just the way the game works. And if you can't prevent somebody from doing something, it destroys your opportunity to put yourself in a good place. And those are things that I think we have to understand. That's competition and competing at that high level.
Hmm. I would say that my preparation for every year always starts with what did we mess up in the last game.
Yeah.
And seriously, did we mess up a bunt defense? Did we get a poor read on a first to third, or did we fail to tag up, or did we fail to get a bunt down? Did we miss a sign? You gotta be willing to look at all the mistakes and warts of that game that got you knocked out, and that's kind of your jumping off point for, at least in my opinion, for the next season's preparation.
And I think it's interesting, because we've had these conversations with different coaches, and then, of course, with Kevin Mulder from the collegiate level. You get to pick your players at the college level. High school, you get the kids that you come into the school and things of that nature. So, you know, that culture building, and you made you said, hopefully they're not tuning you out. You have to have that buy-in from the player in the philosophy of how you're going about your business, correct?
Yeah, and we really have great kids. What I've found out is if they are not um, living up to my expectations, it's probably because my expectations haven't been articulated clearly enough. But I hear them talk. I know they hear the things that I'm saying, and then they're trying to do what I'm asking. Um, yeah, we have great kids. We're very lucky that they are as receptive to what we're teaching as they are.
I think most kids want to they listen, they want to. And I think sometimes, that's the part of it. Um, and we've talked with many coaches, and I've said this and I believe this, you as a head coach, and this is where, talk a little bit about your staff some. You made mention of your pitching coordinator and coach. But I think it's, in today's, even especially as Missouri's getting in Class Six baseball is it's very good in the state of Missouri,
Hmm.
across the state. And you're taking on more of a, I think, a CEO role, managing the ship and moving everybody all in the same direction. And it does take good quality coaches to disseminate the information and the philosophy of how you guys want to play the game.
Absolutely. You hit it on the head there. It's almost like a CEO approach. And I have three really, really good assistant coaches. And my pitching coach He does the scouting reports. He determines how we're going to pitch to guys. He determines how we're going to place our defenders in the field. One of my other assistant coaches, he actually coaches third base, and I've considered even letting him call the game from time to time, so that my mind can be. I like to stand close to our bench, so I can communicate with the guys that are on deck, so that I can think about any substitutions, get pitchers up. But my third base coach, he's in a couple amateur baseball halls of fame, and very lucky to have him as well. And my third assistant coach does a tremendous job on the bench, keeping charge, keeping me aware of what's going on, making suggestions for substitutions or just any kind of adjustments that we might need as we go.
It's amazing. I love that part of it because, you don't think about it, and then you get in the game, and all of a sudden, I mean, so much information is coming so quick at you. Even in a baseball game, people go, "Oh, baseball's slow." No, it's not.
When you get in trouble, you can't get that next guy warmed up fast enough. Trust me.
It happens like that, doesn't it?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I've been on the wrong end of that a few times.
Unfortunately, yes. Coach, a couple things to finish up here. You guys last year you were in District 2. The only team from the conference in District 2, of course, was CBC. You have other Class 6 schools. How difficult does it make it difficult, or is it just something that you work through when you're talking with and scheduling your team through the season? Does it matter that you're not playing some of your maybe district opponents?
In the old days, you used to know what your district was well in advance, and you could try to schedule them, and that made seeding much more accurate.
Mm-hmm.
Now you don't. You do your schedule 9 to 12 months in advance. You don't find out the district until 2 weeks into the season. So it's kind of a flip of the coin if you're going to get to see that person. I think it does affect the accuracy of seeding. So you have to rely on scouting reports, and maybe you can duck out of practice and go see somebody. So yeah, it does make it more challenging when you get to the postseason if you haven't seen somebody.
Absolutely. I think so personally.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. Because I've seen it at different levels, and I think it really affects a lot with Class 5 and 6 because, there's less teams, and so they're trying to bring some. I think last year in District 2, Lebanon came up in your guys' district as well. So that's a long travel there. So trying to fit those in, I get it from the Misha side, but it still becomes difficult. How important is it for you to win the M.C.C. this year?
We always have 3 goals. We want to win 20 plus games. We want to win 5 out of 8 of our M.C.C. games, but the district is the most important thing to us. We want an opportunity to advance in the state playoffs and play for a state championship. So while those M.C.C. rivalries and competition is great, and those are fun, and yes, we want to do well. Everything is in preparation for the district tournament.
Very good. Very good. Everybody, head coach Smet Jesuit High School, the Spartans. I knew that. Tim Canavan, Coach, we always appreciate you taking the time to talk with us. Really do appreciate it.
I always appreciate being on.
Absolutely. We're looking forward to it. Hey, make sure you subscribe and hit the notification. That's a dinger. It doesn't get you a home run, but it gets you a notification because we're going to get to see the Smet Spartans taking on the CBC Cadets. I believe that is May 8th. Way back out in the distance. We're going to be at CBC High School for that ball game. We're looking forward to it. Thanks again. Coach, give the pitchers some advice.
Give some pitcher. Throw strike 1.
I like
strike 1.
Yeah. There you go. Hitters, hit them where they aim. Everybody have a great day in the Lord, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Hey, hey, hey.